This is Foxboro's Fortress, your home for all the latest on the New England Revolution. Brought to you by Leading Lights, LLC.
Hello, and welcome back, everyone, to Foxboro's Fortress, your home for all the latest on the New England Revolution. I'm Raphael.
And I'm Cecil. Today, we're joined by the Blazing Musket's own Sam Minton to break down the Revs matchup versus Toronto, and then look ahead to the two matchups this coming week against RAFC in the Open Cup, and then Orlando City back in MLS.
Huge thanks to our sponsor, Leading Lights LLC, for sponsoring this video. More on them later. For now, let's dive into how the Revs fared versus Toronto.
Alright, what's going on, Sam?
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Happy to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, and great to have this great conversation and talk about the game.
So
Yeah, great. I mean, hey, Revolution, after a rough start, finally playing some good soccer. So always happy to chat about what's going on and a lot to talk about when it comes to the Revs.
100%.
Yeah, ton to talk about. We'll talk about the Toronto matchup, and then we'll talk about both the RAFC matchup coming up and the Orlando matchup. So this should be fun. Let's just jump right into the Toronto matchup. So obviously we won 2-0. It was quite an interesting game from what I watched.
Yeah.
It like the first half, it was like we had like two
All
really good chances. We scored twice, and then we just didn't.
Second half, we took our foot off the gas.
We took our foot off the gas, and it just wasn't really like what we needed. I wanted a bigger win. I predicted a 2-0 win, which we'll get to in a moment, but I really would have liked a more convincing win when they had both they had chances, we also had chances. We didn't look like a substantially better team than them in a large portion of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely, got off to a very good start. And I think, you look at the goal from Carlos Heel. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. And then you kind of later get to the Campana goal. I think just seeing that, kind of true counterattacking goal, that isn't something that the Revolution have typically been able to do, especially under Caleb Porter. And, I think when you look back to last year, when the Revs got on a win streak, maybe compared to this year, you have a player like Campana who's able to score goals and is able to be relied on, in those situations to be able to find the back of the net. So definitely was pleased with, how they started. And I think they were able to, hold on, like you said, maybe Toronto was able to get more of the game and the Reds were kind of bunkering down, just making sure that they secured the win on the road. But Toronto's obviously a struggling team, tons of injuries. Bernadeschi's maybe not performing as well as you'd like.
Yeah.
Same with Lorenzo Insigne. So definitely a good win. Definitely, after seeing the injury report, is a win I thought that the Revolution should have even on the road. But it's still worth pointing out that they're able to get points on the road, able to maintain these leads, and you're not seeing them slip away. So hey, we got a nice little winning streak on our hands.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love that we also got another clean sheet. This is what I think 4 straight clean sheets.
I think so.
Which is absolutely incredible. Our defense has been, even at the start of the season, when, as you said, we had a rough start to the season. Even with all that, our defense, even in those games previously, I thought was working really well with each other. Now Tanner Beeson's obviously been starting, and we haven't lost a game that he's played. So that might say something.
No, yeah, definitely. And I think it's really crucial that, coming into the off season, there's lots of question marks around the players that the Revolution acquired. And when you look at Mamadou Fofana and you look at Brian Ceballos, Eli Feingold as well, I would say, the Revolution seemed to hit on those guys. And those are all guys, didn't have MLS experience, came over, whether it be from Europe, South American experience, but, lots, majority European experience. And they've just been able to seamlessly fit in. Didn't even, natively speak the same language and,
Yeah.
They're able to, combine so well and really perform well. And again, looking back to last season, what's different to this season is just the high level of the back line and the defense kind of overall. So, seeing Fafana and Brian Ceballos perform well has been crucial for this team. Because you could have Carlos Heel pull the goal, but if he's able to pull out one goal and then you're leaking 2 or 3 goals, you're going to lose or maybe draw the majority of your game. So the fact that they're playing so well defensively allows for them to maybe eke out a 1-0 win, or in this situation, just have kind of a better performance, maybe not a complete performance in terms of getting the clean sheet, but maybe you could have been a bit more dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that defense. We've talked about this a lot.
Every episode, it seems
That
we come on here and just
yeah, we
just say
did,
how amazing the team's been.
especially Mamadou Fofana and Ceballos, and
Yeah.
then as of
Tanner
recently Tanner
Beeson.
Beeson.
Tanner, I don't know what it is, if he's like good luck charm or something, but I
He's
don't ever want to see him not on the bench. I want to see him on the starting lineup forever now. He's just
Wow, yeah, I know. No one could have seen that coming. Everyone kind of thought that Tanner Beeson was maybe going to be not like an Andrew Farrell last year, but just
yeah,
kind of like a third, fourth, maybe center back.
yeah,
Now obviously with the formation change, I guess maybe he still is the third center back, but he's in the starting 11. But I definitely think he's done well when called upon, and it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, looking ahead, what the lineup will be like against RAFC, and God forbid injuries happen, what changes could be made. But I mean, so far, Tanner Beeson's performed well and definitely deserves some kudos.
yeah.
100%.
Sure, he's the third center back, but we brought him over from San Jose,
Yeah,
who was worse in MLS last year, and we also brought in Jackson Newell. He hasn't lived up to any of the
yeah.
like what we thought he
Well,
would
he's
do.
lived up to what I thought he would be. I
Yeah,
had,
it'll be interesting to see. I think talking with some people, and it seems like the MLS salary data comes out in maybe about like a week's time. So it'll be interesting to see how much the Revs are paying Jackson Newell.
That will.
yeah.
Well,
But I want to talk more about Tanner Beeson. I mean, he didn't even first that game versus Red Bull. He wasn't even the when I think it was Fofana was injured that game, or he wasn't playing that game.
might have been Ceballos.
Or Ceballos. Yeah, it was Ceballos. But he wasn't playing that game. We had Omsberg come in, and it's not Tanner Beeson, and Tanner Beeson was
Mhm.
on the bench. And then after Omsberg got injured in that like 30th minute or whatever, when I thought Omsberg was playing really well, Tanner Beeson came in. So he wasn't even planned to be like that third. He was like the number four. And now he's coming in, he's starting games, and we're winning games. So yeah,
Yeah, and having that depth's really important. And like you said, coming into a match where you have an early sub, have an early injury, you really got to get into the game quickly. And he did perform well. So it's been great to see that the Revolution do have depth. In case of an injury, in case you want to rotate the squad, give a guy a rest. You're not thinking that this is a guaranteed loss. You can have faith that you'll get points or even get a win.
100%.
Yeah. We have our one good and one bad here. I've talked about the bad a lot. But the good is that we won, and Tanner Beeson is still the good luck charm, and we're still undefeated with him in the lineup. Um, the bad I have is that Luca Langoni is still not playing, and it's like I had Jackson Newell on there at one point, like, hey, he's not playing, but like the Luca Langoni situation is really unfortunate. He's had experience at striker, but
Yeah.
he's not being like put in that striker role. Instead, it's gonna go in that role. With next to Campana, and being our club record signing, you would hope for more than like what an 82nd minute sub.
Yeah.
Like,
It
come on.
it just doesn't fit our formation right now.
He's not fitting this formation because he plays winger. And he didn't have a ton of success at striker when he was at Boca. Um, but he just we paid a lot of money for him, and
Yeah.
he really just has not. Last season we saw like splashes of like what he could do, and then this season just hasn't done much at all.
100%. And I just think that with him, even though he's not fitting our formation, so I don't think because of one player we should change it. We're playing really well, and if he
Yeah,
doesn't suit the team, then sucks for him. I mean, I like the team. I'm not all
yeah,
about the player. So if we're winning, then we have to take some losses in some areas of the. And if that's one of our players not playing, I will take that over us
yeah,
winning.
definitely.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to Legoni, I think you hit the nail right in the head. He just seems to be a casualty of, the system change. Obviously when you think about maybe the roster construction, it was pretty much constructed for a 4-2-3-1. So, it looks like he's gonna be more of that bench player who comes, into games because once Thomas Shankly is healthy, I think it's gonna be probably Thomas Shankly alongside Leo Campana, and then it's essentially going to be Ganago and Langoni competing for minutes, but it is very difficult to have a club record signing essentially wasting away. I mean, he's able to get minutes, but it isn't exactly ideal. Again, expect him, he's someone who probably will feature against RAFC. But it's going to be interesting to see how it works out because obviously, I believe currently the Revs still do have a DP spot at the moment because
Yeah.
the gotta go clause isn't connected to a mandatory purchase. It looks like his loan's going to be extended because he's already played so many games, so it's probably going to be extended for the rest of the year. But it's really tough to see them signing. So, if a guy like Langoni as a DP, I believe right now he's currently U22. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Revolution do with him because if they continue to go on this route, it's kind of difficult to justify, paying him so much money if he's just going to be a bench option. You could have a much better, maybe much more cheaper option there instead of having a club record signing just wasting away.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. I like how you brought up Ganago. You always have him scoring a goal.
I do.
Uh,
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his name. Gonna go
Yeah,
for a goal, but
that's
I don't know.
exactly what happens.
He
But yeah,
yeah.
it's just
He scored one this season. And
mm,
yeah, it seemed like it was going to be the one that kind of gets him going, but it seems like that's more. Leo Campana, he's able to continue to maintain that form. Gonago, it was great for him to get that goal. I mean, he hadn't scored in like 686 days. Like, it was amazing for him to get that goal, but you just want to see more, especially for someone who could be a designated player.
mm,
So it looks like, I would imagine he finishes out his loan here, at the end of the season. Wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't return to the Revs, but again, maybe he turns his form around, which would be lovely, but it's going to be interesting to see how he's managed moving forward.
yeah, it's just it'd be really nice to see him do the same as Campana and like getting like that momentum going forward, but that's just not what happened
yeah,
and has happened. Hopefully he might hit something, but as of right now it doesn't look like it. We have some stats here. And it kind of justifies other than it doesn't justify, but like practically 50-50 possession. I think Toronto had slightly more. But we had like roughly three expected goals to their one. Which hey, we didn't let them score that one, which
yeah.
is great. Um, but
Another clean sheet.
I would have liked a 3-0 win. Like that's just not
Right. We had
it's
four big chances compared to Toronto's one. So that's again um four big chances. We could have scored four goals. We ended up scoring two. Listen, as long as you win games, I'm not gonna complain as much.
yeah.
And even if it is mean in the second half that we kind of close down shop, and we've been doing that kind of. I've seen that during our games, but I mean, if defensively we're good, I don't see the problem with doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, just to kind of touch on the XG and kind of, the chances, I mean, definitely for the XG, I think it shows that the Revolution are getting good chances and but also, I think you look back at the beginning of the season, this team could like barely get to point 0.5 or, to 1. So the fact that they are creating these chances is good, and I think the fact that they're winning these games, obviously, like you said, if they're losing these games and you have 2.7 or, whatever XG, that's going to be a bit disappointing. But I think also, too, when you look at the big chances, I think it's probably more credit to kind of the defensive efforts of the Revs. I think that Toronto wasn't really able to get in the box, get any good chances. I know, Campana kind of had that cleared header that was essentially off the line. But really, Toronto struggled to create high quality chances. So definitely think that's good, but always you'd love for a team to be a bit more clinical, a bit more lethal in its finishing. So, when you see missed chances, it's gonna suck. But I think also too, just in general, you want to see the team just continuing to become more clinical, more accurate, and just take advantage of those chances. Because if you're in a tight game, against a high quality team, one of those chances could be the difference between a win or a loss or a draw. So you got to convert when you get those.
Yeah, and they've obviously got Sean Johnson in net, who is a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah,
And I think he's a very good keeper. He's stopped us in spots that other keepers just would not. I think some of the stops that he made, Ivic wouldn't have made. Ivic has been great this year.
not just great. I
Um,
think he's been really good. Like not just great, like excellent in terms
yeah,
of keeping. In terms of what he was last year, I think he's definitely taken not just one step, but two steps above what he was last season. Because last season, I did not rate him at all. even at the start of this season. But I mean, he's been just form has just keep going and going, and he's shown that he's a really good keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's definitely taken, a leap forward, if you will. Definitely you can see kind of that difference between, last year and this year. There's occasional chance where, I don't know, he just sometimes seems like he gets caught flat-footed. But I think overall, he's been one of the Revolution's best players. And, I'll say I don't know if I was expecting such an amazing performance from Son Johnson, but he came to perform against the Revs. I mean, some of the saves he made. I just remember his days when with NYCFC where it seemed like every other a replay or camera angle he was just screaming at his defenders for some reason. But he came to play against the Revs. Those were some impressive saves. So kudos to him, even though ended up on the loss.
Yeah, sure he lost, but like
Yeah,
that's impressive what he pulled off.
good performance for
Especially
him.
after the half hour mark, we couldn't get anything past him. After the 10th, whatever it was,
Yeah,
11th and 27th minute goals, couldn't get anything past him after
Mm.
like a half hour. So
yeah,
that was really impressive. We what was weird is I'm gonna talk about subs real quick. We used 5 subs,
right,
sure.
yeah,
We used them within like the final like few minutes. It was just like, well, that's just like you're making yourself
yeah.
like, come on. It just like didn't
It was.
look.
I think it was kind of either for minutes for the players because it didn't really. Like, I don't think Caleb Porter was like, oh yeah, this is gonna real impact the game.
Yeah.
Like a couple of them, like Will Sands has been going in for Peyton Miller. That's kind of been what's been going on. Same for like Bai, sometimes for Feingold.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. I mean, at least we use subs, which is something we haven't been doing as
Yeah,
of before.
yeah, you are right. At least they are using them. It seems like Caleb Porter for a while was just like, I'm definitely not going to use all my subs, and they'll definitely be just later in the game. Seems like Miller is just still a player that needs to build his fitness, and I mean, he is quite literally a child. So,
Right.
definitely expect him to just simply grow as a human. But I think, we'll continue to see Chocolai get more minutes, and like you guys said, I don't know what putting in Luca Langoni really does, except giving, Campana a little bit of a break. But it would be nice to see, you're up 2-0. You obviously don't want to be like, all right, this game's in the bag. But if you can get Luca Langoni some significant minutes, again, Chancala I think is going to be in the starting 11 soon. So maybe get a guy like Anago in. Miller probably get, in a 65, 70th, but hopefully he's able to build his fitness. So hopefully like to continue to see, guys getting minutes, even if they are on the bench, but maybe, like you said, kind of spread it out, between the second half compared to kind of just having it all come at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Uh
think we want to talk about predictions here,
yeah,
right?
let's talk about predictions.
Yeah.
So last episode,
We both predicted 2-0,
we both predicted 2-0
which was
and
correct.
we agreed that
Yeah.
if we got a prediction right,
Yeah.
including
But
score,
you also got the goal scorers
I
correct.
got the goal scorers right. That was pretty impressive. I don't know
Yeah.
how I pulled that one off, but we
Yeah.
said if that
So
happens, we would grab donuts.
we got some we
I
got
got I didn't get donuts, but I did get a muffin from the Blazing Musket photographer John Dolan. His mom made muffins, so shout out to Dolan. Thanks for the muffin.
Awesome.
yeah. But I mean we listen, I've been talking about donuts since episode 1 and we got donuts. So
Yeah.
that's always something happy to see. But yeah, we're gonna talk about man of the match.
Sure, let's talk about man of the match.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you go
man of
first.
the match, I'm gonna have Carlos Hill. He is such a great player. I mean, Carlos Hill has, he just takes away from like the defenders always follow him because he's so good. So he gives space to other players. Obviously, he scored a goal. He's just an amazing player. But a player I want to shout out is Eli Feingold. I felt like he had an amazing game versus Toronto. I feel like he's been good all season, and he's been in that right back, because kind of right mid role now in this new formation, allowed to be more attacking. And I feel like he's been very good, very consistent, and a really great player for us. But yeah,
Yeah.
Carlos Hill is definitely my man of the match.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
combined.
I mean, it's hard not to take Carlos. Definitely. I'll definitely give Carlos a shout as well. I mean, again, that touch was absolutely absurd, and just when you look back at this winning streak, I mean, a lot of the credit goes to him. He's kind of, willed this team with the fact that he's been able to score those set piece goals and just score goals in general. So definitely would give him man of the match again. But I do want to give a shout out, similar to how you gave a shout out to Feingold. Want to give a shout out to Alisson Yusuf. I mean, how he set up Campana. Those are the passes that you acquired a guy like Alisson Yusuf. Matt Polster, I think he's a solid, midfielder. Same with Jackson Ewell, but I think Yusuf is on that level where he just makes those line breaking passes. He sets up a guy like Campana perfectly for him to be able to go in and get that goal. So definitely worth shouting him out as well.
Yeah. I feel like we have not talked about Yusuf enough
I
on this
know he's
podcast.
very good.
I
He's such a solid midfielder.
Yeah, he so once
Reliable.
once Tejan moved to the Belgian league, I started following the Belgian league for Tejan just like to see how he was doing. And I kept seeing Yusuf's name pop up. He's such a good player. And when he was signed by the Revs, I was very surprised that we were able to get him. I was expecting, if anything, I was expecting him to go to a top five league. Um, but he came to us, and he's been great.
Yeah.
This year. So I'm
Mhm.
really glad we got him.
Yeah.
And I wish we talked about him more on this podcast. He's
Right.
he's just been great this season.
He has.
Yeah,
And
for sure. He's one of those players who can go under the radar, so I don't blame you guys because sometimes I don't know with midfielders, sometimes the fact that you don't maybe recognize them, it just means they're not making mistakes, which with Mark Anthony K and others last year, it was quite common.
yeah.
So maybe it's just a kudos that we plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have like beef against Mark Anthony K.
Yeah, I know.
He's like
Did you guys see he scored? He scored like an Olympico in training.
I
I'm like,
saw
where was
that.
this?
I'm like this.
um,
I was prepared to
yeah.
message that was edited, but
Right.
I'm not. I was ready to say that was edited. Like
Yeah.
I just did not like the way he played, and so like the same way how you're willing
Yeah.
to say that like if someone says
Oh yeah,
Jack
Jackson
Newell
Ewell. If
is the
anyone tells me that Jackson Ewell is like a good player, it's gonna be a problem.
Oh, well, I don't know, man. I would say wait for his salary to come out. I can't wait to hear your opinion on it.
Oh, if
that's
it's like, oh, I can't even imagine if what we're paying him, which is crazy.
yeah, I have
But
a I
yeah.
have a problem with Mark Anthony K for like so many reasons. I just did not like the way he played last year, and I kept just like he had that red card I think in the playoffs. And
Oh yeah, I remember that.
just
Yep,
like
that
after
was a
that, I
fun
was like,
one.
yeah, no, please get off my team, and he didn't
Yeah.
get off the team until
Right.
like this year. But hey,
Right.
he's not on the team anymore,
Right.
so it's been pretty good. I have Campana as my man of the match with Cecil as the shout out. Campana making my prediction come through.
Oh. Right.
Carlos,
Yeah.
yeah, Carlos Hill. Like he's been such a great player.
Mm.
Since he came to us. He's just such a oh my God. There's like no words to describe like
How
what he's
important
done.
he is to the team, I
Yeah,
would say.
he's been incredible
Yeah.
for this team. And then Leo Campana finally hitting that goal scoring stride.
Yeah.
And just like is I can't wait to see him continue to score.
Yeah.
It's been great.
100%.
And so
Yeah.
you got anything
Yeah.
else to add?
Not really. Yeah.
Well, with that, I'm
Yeah.
gonna send it over to our sponsors, Leading Lights LLC. Unlock the power of your platform data with Leading Lights, experts in transforming raw numbers into compelling benchmarks. Leading Lights helps a variety of companies turn insights into engaging stories that drive growth. Elevate your brand with data-driven content that captivates your audience and sets you apart from the competition with Leading Lights. Visit their website at leadinglights.io to see how you can transform your platform data. He's gonna grab his
Right.
Boston cream
Yeah.
donut.
It's because it's the best flavor.
All right.
You're correct.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Good. Cut to
Welcome
the
back.
donut.
Donut time. Welcome back to Foxy Sports, everyone. I'm Cecil Kenny. This is Raphael Babchuk. We got Sam on the other side. How's that donut?
It was really good.
That's good. That's good to hear. Um, Me and Sam are gonna kind of take this section for RFC. I know you're not the biggest
Yeah.
follower of
Definitely
RFC.
not the biggest follower.
So
But,
you can just chat.
know a little
enjoy-
bit of them, but yeah,
Yeah, you can just
definitely your section. Let's
yeah,
just
you
say
just
that.
you just you enjoy that donut,
Yeah.
and we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
So they're not doing too well. I haven't updated the score, but they're not doing too well in the USL. They're
Yeah.
they started slow last year. And they haven't really picked up the form that they had last end of last season when they made it to the final. They haven't really picked up that form. But they're not doing too well. They ended Portland Hearts of Pines underdog run in the cup. And they're like in like multiple cups. I think I don't know how to pronounce it. The USL like
Jaegermeister Cup.
Jägermeister Cup. But yeah, they beat Westchester SC in that. And in the USL Cup, ended Portland Hearts of Pines run, which was good to which wasn't good to see. I was hoping for them to beat RFC and then have a Portland Hearts of Pine versus Revs. That would be pretty cool to watch. Have the Revs go to like a high school stadium, like that'd be pretty funny. Um, but yeah, they haven't done as well as I would have expected them to with how they finished last year. But they did start slow last year. And so I wouldn't put it past them to pick this form up come mid-season and then hopefully make a playoff run again. Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, just in general, was lucky enough, got to see them open up that stadium against San Antonio, and they do play an interesting style. They're similar to maybe a Caleb Porter in the sense that they do like to press. And so when you think about it, you're probably not going to have guys like Fafana and Ceballos starting, so it's going to be interesting to see how a Tanner Beeson, if Wyatt Omsberg's healthy, maybe we also see Andrew Farrell. Just overall, just kind of how that back unit is able to build. But also too, Rhode Island is dealing with a ton of injuries. J.J. Williams missed the last match. Albert Dikwa still recovering from injury, but he came on as a sub. Also missing guys like Frank Nordis, and Karitha Yao. I believe Nordis was suspended, but I believe he also might be suspended for the U.S. Open Cup match because I believe he got a red card. I could be wrong.
Uh,
But also too, Karifat Yao on their back line got some injuries to the midfield as well too. So they are a beat up squad, if I remember correctly, about 8 injuries or 7 or 8 injuries. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform. Didn't exactly look the best against San Antonio. Weren't really able to create chances. There was a few, good chances. Clay Holstad, a guy who's able to pull up from anywhere and just absolutely launch a shot. And Maxi Rodriguez is the real deal. He's one of the top players in the USL Championship, and I expect him to, perform well against the Revs. I think, Caleb Porter made some comments, and I would not be surprised if the folks down in the USL Championship, like Rhode Island, heard him. So they'll be playing with a chip on their shoulder, wanting to get a win over an MLS squad. So it'll be interesting to see how they do.
yeah, one
yeah,
thing I want to cut in here. I do want to say that I want us to have a rotated lineup in this game. I don't want us to play like our starters. I feel like we have to because it's a midweek game, so I don't want us to kind of be like worn out by our game versus Orlando. So I want us to kind of like show us our second team, kind of show our second team and how we play and give them a chance.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Caleb Porter, I asked him about Revs 2 players training with the squad just in like training. But he ended up talking about the Open Cup and stuff, and it seems like, they're gonna give young guys a chance. I would imagine some Rev Stu players. I would imagine the guys who traditionally wouldn't start. So from all signs, I mean, maybe Caleb Porter's just doing a tactical masterclass and is
Yeah,
gonna make us all think that he's gonna play the worst lineup possible, and we're just gonna all of a sudden see Carlos Heel out there. But definitely I would say, and I would agree too, that I would expect and hope for a rotated lineup.
yeah,
yeah. I know. I think Andrew Farrell might have been dealing with an injury. He's been on that injury report. Um, and so I think our center backs, hopefully Wyatt Omsberg is back, and then I think we might see Keegan Hughes play a bit. I feel like he has a shot. Maybe even João Victor Souza. I'm a big BC fan. He graduated from BC. I'd love to see him play. Um, and so I'm also a big fan of Alan Oyerwath. I think I want to see him play in that cam position. That'd be really cool to see him play with the first team for the first time after getting his first goal for Revs 2. And so I'd like to see that. I was trying to think of a striker. We don't have any strikers. I was thinking of Maxi Rudy, and then it brought me back to like the 35th minute of
Well,
the
I think you might get Maxi Rudy, whether you like it or not, though, Cecil. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts.
yeah.
yeah, like the broadcast, like
That was
35th
funny.
35th minute in the broadcast, the announcer was just like they're just like it's silence and like they're just playing and then someone's like Maxi, a Rudy. Please spell for Toronto. I'm like, someone called for. Why do you have to bring
Yeah.
that up again? I'm just like,
Yeah,
what are we even
we don't. I
doing?
don't think we want to hear his name in
He's just like, because he played at Toronto, he's just like, Maxi, Rudy, played at Toronto, apparently. Like, that is not what I need to hear when we are winning 2-0.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
came in the game, and I was just like,
Yeah,
no,
right.
I think he might start. And so it'd be something. to watch for to see that rotated lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if Diaz played.
Yeah, Diaz, he hasn't really been
Yeah,
playing. He hasn't even been subbed on.
I think
So I
that's
don't know if
probably
Caleb
because of.
Porter is giving him the Jackson Yule treatment.
I think it's probably because Chunkline's back.
Yeah, so
I
he
think
doesn't really
that's.
have a spot in the lineup.
I think Chunkline and Diaz might be the wingers, maybe even Langoni.
I hope Chonklight does. As
Yeah,
you said already, Sam, to regain that form and start over Ganigo, which
yeah,
I think is the
Definitely,
plan
definitely.
later on.
yeah, and then I think maybe Bai and Sands, those two
Yeah,
guys. I think
like
we might see Jackson Ewell.
Hmm.
Just because
honestly, hopefully not.
Well, I got some bad news for you, Raph. I bet we see him.
you might be out
Honestly,
of luck.
of the only games that he would play, this would be the only one I'm okay with.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then goalkeeper. I want to see Bono.
I think we get Bono. I mean, this is
I'd love to
exactly
see
why you
Bono.
have a backup goalkeeper.
The reason you have Bono.
Right.
He is the definition of your cup goalkeeper. So you are playing in a cup. Let's give him a chance. And
Yeah.
I mean, hey, he's a pretty solid backup. So we'll see how he performs.
And then maybe even Donovan Parisian. That'd be something. That'd be
That
quick.
is a possibility. It
But I
would
feel
be
like
interesting to see him too.
if he would play a backup, I think it would be Bono because to
Yeah,
put Parisian in over Bono, who hasn't done anything, I
yeah,
feel like that would be kind of insult to him, saying that, oh, we'll play the third string instead of the second string.
yeah. But I think that would be pretty cool. Um, I don't have a good gauge. I'm not the biggest RSC follower. I follow them lightly. I'm headed to a game.
Right.
I think against Sacramento Republic later this year. Um, and so I know you want to bring up somebody. You did a little bit of
A little
research
bit. We're
earlier.
gonna talk about it a little bit earlier, but yeah, I want to talk about Noah Fuzon. He's 25 years old. Um, very versatile. He's one of your favorite players, I know
Yeah,
that. But he's a very good player that hopefully, even though it is a cup game and not an MLS game, I hope the Revs don't lose their focus
yeah,
because even if it's just a cup game and we end up losing, that's like a bread on the on our previous games, and then we come into the game against Orlando and we're already like, oh, we just lost. So it's gonna get into the mindset. So even if it's not as important as I would say an MLS game, I still feel the necessity for a victory.
yeah. I think it'd be continue that winning streak even in the
Yeah.
cup. That'd be really cool.
You know what would be if Tanner Beeson does not play, I could see a loss because
Tanner
he is
Beason,
our
Tanner Beason, the only thing holding
yeah
this team together.
I don't know.
Yes, yes. But yeah, Noah Fujon, great player. He's one of the guys who's kind of hovered around MLS, played in MLS Next Pro with Columbus Crew 2, and then now has kind of found his home with RIFC, but definitely very talented out in the wing, speed, skill, exactly what you want. So definitely someone the Revolution will have to keep an eye on, and whether it be By or Sands, I think they'll have their hands full with him.
100%.
Yeah. Another guy I like former Rev Zachary Haribo. I like him. Um, Former Rev obviously, so that's gonna be a
Right.
cool matchup.
Already a plus.
I think Connell Smith was part of the Revs coaching staff at one point. And so that
And long ago, I believe played for them as well too.
really.
So yes, yes, but that was even before my time, so I don't blame you guys.
I would not know that.
Yeah.
That's not my forte. That might have been your forte.
Right.
I know you looked into Rev's history
Yeah.
prior to becoming a season ticket holder.
Yes.
But hopefully we get a win.
Hopefully.
It would be nice to progress in the cup. Make a run. That'd be nice to see. But I think we want to transition
Yeah,
into
it's in
the
Orlando.
Orlando match.
Yeah.
Um, they're doing decent.
They're currently seventh. We're eighth.
I believe
Um,
so. Yeah.
yeah, but we still have a game yet to play,
Yeah.
which I feel
So
is really big. So I mean, looking at the standings right now, like we are eighth. I'm pretty sure they're seventh. They are seventh. So if we I think when we play the extra game in hand, we really see how good we really are because I feel like we can be good enough this season if we keep up this form to like fifth, fourth.
yeah, if
Yeah,
we say we win that game that we have in hand,
yeah,
that brings us up to what 19 points. Um that puts us in sixth place just behind Charlotte. Who if we finish on the same goal differential, I believe we could go ahead of them.
yeah, because of head to head.
That'd be because of head to head we beat them, which
Yeah,
was very surprising. Um, but yeah, they're doing pretty decent. They've been undefeated for a few matches now. I think seven. They've won four, and then they've drawn three.
mm,
Um, and so they're doing decent. It's Orlando, so they they haven't made too many marquee signings. One of their marquee signings though is the guy I want to talk about, Luis Muriel, storied Colombian striker. Played
Right.
a lot in Serie A.
For Atalanta.
And so he's done well. Um, Another guy, you might want to who do you
Yeah,
want to talk about?
I'm talking about Marco Pasalic. If you remember him, he played for Croatia in the World Cup in 2022. He's 11 games, 5 goals, 2 assists, 24 years old. He previously did play for Dortmund and a team in Croatia. I don't want to butcher this, but I think it's Rice Eka, but we'll just go with that. He's a very good player to watch. He plays like the right wing, right mid position. So he's going to be someone that I think Peyton Miller is going to be have to deal with. So he's a very good player. Obviously, had that class to even play in a World Cup. He made it all the way. They won the third place game. So I mean, he played for a third place Croatian um, World Cup team. So he's a great player, a player that we definitely have to look out for, aside from Muriel. And then another player I also want to shout out is the goalkeeper Galese from Peru, 35 years old, extremely experienced, was at Orlando since 2020. He's definitely a player. I feel like we've come across goalies like this, especially in our last game against Toronto, and we had Guzan against Atalanta. These are
Atlanta.
good. Oh, Atalanta, because Muriel, I
I
mixed them
always
up.
mess that up too
Yeah,
when I first
Atlanta.
saw Atalanta, I just always call her Atlanta.
yeah. So, but yeah, we've dealt with these experienced keepers before, so hopefully we can get a few goals past them.
Yeah, and also too, a guy like Duncan McGuire, someone who's getting shouts for England, a very talented striker. So a lot of, especially when you combine it with a guy like Muriel, a lot of offensive firepower, but you still have a guy like Elise in the back who can make some amazing saves. So, maybe you get a similar performance to Toronto in the sense that a guy like Elise just pulls up some amazing saves. So that means you're gonna have to convert on the chances that you do get. So it's definitely gonna be, I would say, a bit tougher of a match. I wouldn't be surprised. If the Revolution don't get a win, I don't think it's time to panic yet. I think, if you're on the road and you get a draw, this would be, a solid performance, but
Right away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
definitely going to be a tough one.
yeah,
gonna be a tough
100%.
one. They're a tough team to play. And we've been on the road for just about forever now.
Yeah,
And we have like it's like away, away, away. San Jose, away, away, away.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
can I please go to a game?
right.
Like at this point,
Uh,
Yeah.
like
yeah, I
it's
might have to travel with the team. I don't know. Got to see some games.
this point, just like just get on the plane, just
Yeah,
like, hey,
but
can you just take me to the game?
two other main center backs is Robert Jansen and Rodrigo Schlegel. I'm pretty sure if
Yeah,
I'm pronouncing that correct.
Rodrigo.
These are center backs that are okay, I would say average, and a player like Cappy, I feel, could really be influential in that role, bring out those two center backs to give the space for Campana and Ganago to really have the times we can send that through ball in. So once the center backs, follow him around, and maybe we can score goals from that. Players that I think we can take advantage of.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what Carlos Hill does best, kind of draws attention and is able to, open up space for others. So whether it be, a guy like Gonago, a guy like Troncolai, or, Leo Campana,
Yeah.
definitely expect, it seemed like earlier in the year, maybe Carlos Hill, I don't want to say he was struggling, but he just wasn't playing like at the level he's playing now. So I think, now that he has some momentum, the Revs have won some games, expecting some a good performance from him, and he'll just always make an impact, even if he's not scoring goals, just because of how he's able to draw attention and, open up space for others.
yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk score predictions?
Yeah, score predictions. Hey, if we get these ones right, am I bringing more donuts?
Yes, you are bringing more donuts.
All right. Tell you what, I'm gonna go. I've kind of been always at the start of the season, I was negative, but I would still give us good score predictions. And I think for this game, that's where I continue, and I think we have another 1-0 win, so closer game. 1-0 win. I think Campana scores in like the 60s something minute, because I think during the game we will be pressuring Orlando throughout the game, and I think at some point Carlos Hill will find that pass to Campana, and Campana will be clinical, and he will finish, and we will win 1-0. And I think defensively, I don't see them scoring even with the firepower that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think I gotta go with you there in the sense of the Campana goal, but I think this is a game where the Revolution end up drawing, whether it be a Duncan McGuire or a Muriel goal. I think they do end up drawing, which wouldn't be a bad result at all. But definitely think Leo Campani's used to that, lovely Florida heat. So I think he might have a little bit of an advantage and he'll be able to continue his goal scoring prowess and continue the show why the Revolution acquired him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like to see the Revs get donuts again and continue that
Right. Yeah. Clean sheet.
clean sheet streak, but I don't see that happening. I have a 1-1 draw as well. Um I think Carlos Heel assisted by Campana. Um just cuz I think Campana will like make a run, but he'll get like stopped and then he'll like pass it off to Carlos Hill, who will like have like another like incredible goal, from like around the 18, because that's apparently what he does best. But yeah, I'd like to, but I think we do see a Duncan McGuire goal as well, and then it's just like maybe even an Alex Freeman assist. He's the guy to watch for, a fullback who's done well.
Yeah.
He's definitely someone to make sure to watch for. Even if
100%.
we didn't mention him too much. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
1-1 draw. Duncan McGuire and Carlos Seal.
Yeah.
Goals. Um,
But hoping
yeah,
for a win. Hoping for a win.
hoping for a win.
Hoping for a win, yeah,
Hoping
definitely.
for a win always,
Best
but
we can do.
at this point, hopefully, we get hopefully we get a result. Hopefully not a loss
Yeah.
always. But yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah.
You got anything?
No, really appreciate it, guys. Definitely, thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
100%. So
yeah.
yeah.
That's gonna wrap this up. If you haven't already, follow us on X at any podcast net. Follow Sam and the Blazing Musket over there as well. If you're on Spotify or YouTube, make sure you're following us so you don't miss another episode. Thank you, Leading Lights LLC, again for sponsoring this. Next episode should come out Monday, unless other is noted. But otherwise, that's gonna do it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. And this
That
was.
this was Foxboro's Fortress.